Hey, what is up, nerds, geeks, and collectors alike, and today we'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 Wolverine. And without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most iconic members of the X-Men, wearing his most iconic suit, I can say that everyone in the X-Men 97 toy line can pass along as the 90s animated TV show or just your classic comic book X-Men. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, taking a closer look at Wolverine, I gotta say this figure is painted and sculpted beautifully. I'm having a hard time looking for anything to complain about. There are some slight blemishes here and there and some bleeding, but it is on a minimal level, and the overall presence of this figure is iconic and classic Wolverine. What else do you want? And we have some sculpted detail for his arm hair and as well as his claws. I really like that they added that with, where his claws come out of. And here at the back, again, the paint is really clean. You'd expect some bleeding here and there, and I'm really glad that my copy came out the way it is. And yes, this is a straight up cleaner version of the VHS Wolverine, which is an excellent figure, so I don't blame them for repacking it. Next up are the accessories. Here we have a cowl down for Wolverine as well as an alternate head. And this unmasked Wolverine head really captures the essence of the animated show, with the sculpt being so excellent and the paint being super crisp. This is very nice. For the cowl, again, it is sculpted and painted nicely. But the general idea of this accessory, I really wish that we see it more with other characters. And in order to install these two, you just pop the head off and then put the cowl in first, and then you pop the alternate unmasked head in. And once you have that all nice and snug, just fix that there, and here we have unmasked Wolverine, and I'm really hoping moving forward we see this with other characters. And as we all know, Wolverine's claws are retractable, therefore we have an extra pair of closed fists. And yeah, you can also treat this as his hands without his claws. And in a typical Marvel Legends fashion, just pop off the hands and exchange it with the alternate hands. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And here we have Wolverine with just his fist. And yeah, this adds a lot more playability and display options because he doesn't really have his claws out all the time. Next up is the articulation, and Wolverine's head is on a ball joint, and yes, even his alternate unmasked head along with the cowl, his head can do a 360. I may not show it, but it is doable with the alternate head. He can look up that far and then look down that far. And let's just fix him up right here. Wolverine has a bicep swivel. He can do a complete 360. He can move his arms that far out. And you can move around his shoulder pad. He has a bicep swivel and then a double jointed elbow. Unfortunately, it's constricted by his muscles. Weird flex right there. His wrist can do a complete rotation and in and out. And same goes with the alternate hands. See, in and then out. So yeah, same range of motion, and I like that consistency with the hands. He can ab crunch and arc that far out, and he has a waist swivel. He can kick that far up and move his feet back not at all. I've been noticing that recent Marvel Legends figures are having a difficult time moving their feet backwards. And he has a upper thigh cut, double jointed knee, which is again constricted by the sculpted detail, but not a major deal breaker for me. And let's put his feet back. And he also has a boot swivel. He can move his feet up and then down, and then there's a beautiful pivot. So yeah, very standard for Marvel Legends figures. And moving on to the scale, Here we have our ruler, and Wolverine stands about 5.5 inches. And that's actually an appropriate height for a comic book and animated Wolverine. And here we have his fellow X-Men and love triangle Jean Grey and Cyclops. And yeah, these figures scale nicely. For my final verdict for the X-Men 97 Wolverine, aforementioned, he is a straight up cleaner version of the VHS Wolverine. Apart from the cell shading, they also have a difference in terms of the accessories, whereas this one has the alternate head and the cowl down, which the other one did not. Instead, it had a pair of grabby hands and a picture of Scott Summers and Jean Grey to recreate that iconic meme. But going back to the figure at hand, if you want a classic tiger stripe Wolverine, but keep in mind I did mention that he is one of the most iconic members of the X-Men in his most iconic classic suit, so you may have a difficult time looking for this figure. And on the side note, this figure dropped the same time the leaks for Deadpool and Wolverine dropped, therefore adding hype to this figure, making it more difficult to get. So if you ever have the opportunity to snag this figure without paying for sculptor prices, I say go for it, because he is a really nice figure and he is, for me, the definitive version of Wolverine. So that's about it. Till next time. See ya.